So Martha, I'll start the meeting. We're going to open the meeting at 7:02 a.m. My name's Bob Connors. I'm chair of the Newbury Police Station Building Project Construction Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Martha Taylor.
Here.
John Keller. Eric Svan.
Here.
Chief Riley.
Here.
Deputy Chief Lucy. Steve Theron.
Here.
Dave Burns.
Here.
Zell Tonic.
Present.
And I think that's it. All right, team. So good morning. This open meeting of the Newbury Police Station Building Project Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the Governor suspends the requirements of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video conferencing. Well, now that we've got all of our prelim out of the way, if you go to your meeting packet and turn to tab 1, it is the minutes from the April 15th meeting. So do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
It's roll call.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
No, thank you, Martha. Hey, it's a team effort. Eric?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Bob Connors, yes. So it's unanimous. All right, turning to tab 2. BC payment requisition number 5. If we have a motion and a second, then we can get into discussion. So do we have a motion?
I move to accept.
Okay.
A second.
Okay. All right, discussion. We have the Vertex letter of recommendation. It's been signed off by the architect, and it appears to be in order. Any comments?
No, I
All
trust Steve to do his job well, so no
No,
comment.
I think, Mike, we have a good process. Certainly, Zell and his team go over this with a fine-tooth comb. And then the secondary oversight of Steve and Dave really put the interest of the town on the forefront. And our cursory review is just the final chapter of a 3-step process prior to procurement. But all right, why don't I take a roll call vote? All those voting in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes, it's unanimous. Okay. If you go to tab 3, It's the context invoice. And again, that has a letter of recommendation from Vertex, and it appears to be in order. So, do we have a motion to
Move
accept?
to accept.
A second?
I'll
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the contents of tab 3, the context invoice? Hearing none, I'll move to a roll call vote. Eric?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. It's unanimous. Okay, tab 4 is the Vertex invoice. Do we have a motion?
Move
So
to
moved.
accept.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Okay. John had reached out to Steve and John Lemieux just regarding some details on this. So I would move that we approve this as presented. There might be some clarity added down the road on this, but so why don't I do a roll call vote? All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob Connors says yes, so it's unanimous. Okay, if you turn to tab 5, Finet Engineering invoice. We have a letter of recommendation from Vertex. After their review, they had reduced the recommended amount down. So John Keller has created the necessary warrant cover sheet reflecting that reduced amount. So do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Steve, why don't you made a technical adjustment here for a few $100s.
Yeah, so just in invoice number 3 or 5699-3 dated 4/30/20, there are 2 items that were not yet in agreement with the testing company FINA on yet, and so we took those off this requisition. The total amount for that requisition or for that invoice is 3945 from the billed amount of 4379.40. So the total of the 3 invoices as recommended is $9,877.98.
Thank you, Steve. Remind me, did we vote on this yet? We didn't, have we? Okay, so I'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Martha?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, if you turn to tab 6, it's the National Grid invoice. Steve and Dave, I'm assuming this is for the transformer and the 3-phase prep that's being done on Morgan Avenue.
Yeah, this is for the installation cost to connect the new building to the grid, and this is their costs to perform that and provide that connection.
Okay,
And
thank you.
associated equipment.
So we have the associated letter of recommendation. There's a copy of the invoice. Do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, team, on this?
No.
Is
I'll
the
go to-
work scheduled, Bob?
It is. The way the time clock works on this, Eric, is when they have the check in hand,
Yeah.
that's when the clock starts.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm not sure if it was Steve or Dave, is to have our procurement department forward a copy of the check to either Steve or Dave, they'll use that as, the check's probably going to London, for God's sakes, the way things are now. And being able to forward a copy of the check actually being issued will expedite it on the local level. So.
Yeah, the address at the top is Syracuse, New York.
It's pretty hard to cash checks when you're working remotely, I think. But
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor, roll call. Eric,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes. It's unanimous. Okay, if we turn to tab 7, PCO 3R. Just a little background on this. Certainly, the whole design team and the build team has been working hard on this, resulting in the building being able to consolidate all of its technology and data services in one area on the 3rd floor, resulting in freeing up a little critical space on the 1st floor. I just wanted to thank everybody. I know Steve, Dave, Zell and his team, as did Mike Crester and all his team, worked very hard to get this done for us. So do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, team?
I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I know it was a process to get through, and I appreciate the work that everybody did. It really makes a difference. So that's the only comment I have.
Okay, any other comments? All right, I'm gonna call a roll call. Those in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes, it's unanimous. Okay. If you turn to tab 8, we have some ongoing communication. Surprise, surprise, COVID-19 communications. I think it's a whole new world out there where that every contractor and subcontractor is exchanging some communications between the parties in anticipation of the unknown. So what you had before you was a response by BC Construction to one of their subcontractors. This is just more for part of the record. This town council and town administrator are aware of this, and BC Construction is handling it directly. So this doesn't require any vote. Is there any questions on it or any comments, Zell or Steve?
Just we do bring this item up every week as a discussion point, just if there are any COVID impacts that we're aware of or concerns, either one, in each week, other than adding the initial requirements of a hand wash station. There are no known impacts in terms of material supply chain or other impacts. And we do bring it up every week just to, during these times, just to raise the topic and see if there's any concerns or issues out there. So none brought forward other than the letter that you provided here from the contractor as of yet.
All right, thank you. We turn to tab, any other questions or any other comments before we move on to the tab 9? All right, hearing none. Tab 9 is a 2-week look ahead schedule. Dave, why don't you jump in there? I'm not sure if the build team has sent you an updated schedule in anticipation of your next meeting today.
That's a negative, Bob.
Okay.
So we do not have a current, we typically get them this morning.
Yeah.
And no, I have not seen that as of yet. I can, so whatever was on the 2-week look ahead has evolved and has morphed, and this is what I can report. We have a BC Construction crew of 5 men here today, 5 workers, socially distanced or appropriately distanced because there's nothing social about the work. Tying rebar and finishing slab prep, which is somewhat complicated and is going together, very much like plans and specifications indicate it should. But in anticipation of getting part of the slab poured tomorrow, it'll be a 2-part pour. Because of the elevational differences, they'll concentrate on the dispatch area tomorrow and the surrounding haunches and lower levels. And off of that, there will be some form stopping and prep to pour the larger, the main level 5-inch slab. So that's all going to happen. The second pour will kick into next week at some point. It might be as far out as Thursday. It's all with all of these. With all of the trades and all the GCs, it's a choreography of moving parts and who has to be where and what the weather forecast indicates and such. But so let's say a week from now, so a week out, we'll have a slab, structural steel or a good deal of it to get us up into the attic framing level was set on Monday. All of the underground preparations, including most recently communications, cable, everything that's coming in off pole number 3 as opposed to our power coming off pole number 2. That's all gone in successfully and more involved than one would think after first studying the plans. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, realistically, what's going to happen is the framers will start to mobilize. Material will start to arrive in first floor walls and second floor level floor framing will all get underway, not next week, but the following week.
Okay, anything else, Dave?
No, site work's pretty much wrapped up. We finished the retaining wall yesterday. There is some underground utility work to do there to connect our HVAC units on their pad and our generator on its pad to the conduit that's already been run through the foundation wall. But other than that, site work is fairly complete at this point. And I understand, Zell's team or his geotechnical team are reviewing some latest input on the parking lot area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any questions for Dave or any questions regarding the 2-week look ahead? All right, hearing none. If you turn to tab 10, it's the committee's hot list or just work in progress list. So we can quickly run through this. So item 1, pay rec number 5 has been received and approved. Item 2, supporting letter, been received. PCO4, helico drilling and status of negotiations. Zell, my understanding is McPhail is looking at the last submittal from BC.
Yes, they are currently reviewing it in detail.
Okay.
It'll take them a few days to digest it all.
Certainly. Okay. PCO, rear parking lot area and soil improvements, that's really tied together with McPhail's review. Okay, open invoices associated with letters of recommendation, as always, complete and approved. PCR 3R, that has been approved. Hardware door cores coating status, where did we end up on the public bathroom in the lobby? I know we were talking about electrifying that. What did we wind up doing on that? What was the final on that, Zell?
The final was that it was requested that we not put it on the central security system. So we instructed the contractor to remove it and just provide an electric strike to a passage set so that it can be released. So that's what went out as a final change to that hardware, along with the occupancy sign on the hardware.
Okay. On the night latch type of occupancy, occupied, red, green. Okay.
Yep.
Chief, any questions on that?
No, the simpler the better with that. And I think taking it off the overall security thing, if that is easier and saves money, that's better. We just want to be able to, if somebody needs to use the bathroom, just be able to, whoever's at the desk, buzz them in, and then just have a light so we know that it's occupied, and then we know when they leave. That's all.
I think the approach is the best one, because if it's on the security system, you then have to pull up the app that's managing it, find the location, and then click on it. And that's not as instantaneous as hitting a little button at the...
Yeah, just hit a button and buzz them in. That's it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Underground plumbing, electrical. I guess we're pouring the slab, Dave, where we can take that one off the list.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
hope everything's in the right location. That's what
Yeah. Now that's
It's a good thing.
it is amazing the amount of infrastructure under that
Yeah.
slab cell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Dave, you've covered the framing and mobilization on this. You've
Yes,
covered
yes,
Site excavations, retaining wall completion.
right.
Zell, you're not waiting on anything from us on exterior finishes. I've seen that you've sent off the last piece of that to the build team on the clapboard and shingles.
Yeah, and the final flashing color, which was discussed, and I think that, I don't know if you made a decision on the step flashing color yet, Eric?
I just think it should be darker than it shouldn't be white. It should just be a darker color. I don't think it
No,
has
I
to.
agree. It's just that I don't have this. You guys have the samples up at the police station. We can take a look and just pick one. I mean, there's not that much. There's only like a half dozen total colors. So I don't know what, you know.
I will have a color by tomorrow night.
So Eric, are you thinking more along the hemlock color or?
Yeah, it just needs to be darker so
Yeah.
it's tucked in. You minimally see it, and if it's white, you'll see a streak.
Right.
If it's dark, it just goes away.
Yep,
Okay.
agreed.
All right, so Eric and Martha, you'll take care of that for us.
And so they are the samples, are they at dispatch or?
Yes. I'll leave them right on the front desk for you, Martha.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, item 14, interior finishes and colors. Zell, I think that the approach is have Context go through their normal procedure of presenting all the options, and then we can tweak that if necessary.
That's fine. We're still waiting to get all the finishes submitted, so.
Okay.
So, do you have a spreadsheet, or is there some way to just list so that we can clearly keep track of the all the finishes? Because there's a lot of different ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ones, and actually we did go and check through, and I do believe there is a list now of outstanding stuff. I don't know if we have a comprehensive list of everything that is. Are you saying you'd want to see a finishes list of everything that?
I guess if it's just printing the logged samples and understanding that they're all there, that just helps to assess.
Right. They're not all here yet, and so we still have a ways to go with samples.
And you had asked about a carpet, put you in the right sphere or realm of carpets, but I think what we need is just an understanding of where you were going with the overall finish first, and then can look at those carpets to try to narrow it down some.
Sure, no, certainly, but we need to get those samples in order to assess and make a logical approach to how we select what the color schemes become. So until we have all the data, we can't really make a big effort into it. And we can start looking at it piecemeal, but I don't really want to do that until everything's in. But that should be soon. I think that everything should be submitted probably within the next week or two. So.
Zell, is there actually a list of outstanding items that you?
Yes, there is a
Okay.
list that was generated and issued to BC. I can forward that list to the team if you guys want to see it.
No, I'm just thinking that Steve, if you can just cover that at your weekly meeting, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Zell, for that update. We went over the 2-week look ahead schedule. Updated project schedule will probably. Has anything changed since the last update, Dave?
An update was submitted in advance of pencil rec number 5. The delivery date is still the contract delivery date, and some of the sequencing in their software application has been adjusted to achieve that.
Okay, thank you. Construction start time, delivery scheduling prior to 7 a.m. complaints. Any issues on site, Dave or Steve, that outside the normal issues? Or Chief, have you been getting any calls of or concerns?
Just a couple COVID-19 related things that I've passed on to the team, and they've taken care of them. But
Yeah.
other than that, site looks great. Very excited to see the elevator shaft up there.
You know what happens? I think everyone has some misconceptions of what the protocols are on a construction site. Not everyone is required to wear a mask outside unless you can't maintain social distancing. Right. And if you're operating heavy equipment and you're in your machine, certainly that isn't applicable. Our site still hasn't really reached or plateaued at the 10. We haven't had 10 people on site working in an area yet. Pretty much, David, is that a fair analogy? Dave, you're on mute. Yeah.
That's accurate, Bob, to describe that, yes. There's been but a couple of days in the entire sequence so far when we were pouring foundations that we had in excess of 10 people, and we're all, it's simple to keep people spaced.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the bottom line is too, people can be standing next to each other without a mask. It's prolonged, 5-10 minutes together. Right. So if you have to go and talk to somebody for a second and leave, that's fine. It's just, right. So I think Dave does a great job over there making sure that the guys are maintaining their social distance and masking up when need be. And I have no doubts that he's on top of it. So.
Thanks, Mike, and Chris as well. Superintendent Chris Farnell as well. Mike Cresta takes it seriously. He passes that on down through his team, and our trades have all arrived independently, taking it serious as well. So, good.
Well, I think the one thing that it's on the site, we have contractors that have father-sons working on the same crew that are living together, and so they're already self-isolating together. When they ride in a vehicle to the job site, that could create an illusion that is really shouldn't be a concern, knowing the level that they're already in isolation together, and so. Any other comments on that? That's just my 2 cents. I know there's been some questions on that.
As far as I'm concerned, the public isn't allowed into the construction site. So the construction site is not 6 feet from anybody's particular house. So there is no danger to the public.
Right.
Even if they weren't following protocol there, which they are, but so.
Well, and distances too. To follow up on that, Chief, anybody that is because I'm watching. It's part of my responsibilities here to watch everybody involved and to provide an extra layer and level of scrutiny and safety. And I can tell you from across the site perspective, being what it is, workers that are 6 feet apart can look like they're on top of each other and literally almost touching. So. If you're viewing workers on the site from, say, across the street off the site, you'll have that challenge of perspective as well.
That's a great
Well,
point.
I think the good thing is everyone's taking it seriously. Dave, thank you for your efforts, and certainly the build team is doing everything within their power to be compliant during these challenging times. So the last item on the hot list is kind of an open discussion from anyone. Any matters, concerns, design team, build team, or the committee. Why don't I go right around the list here? Eric, any questions, concerns, or suggestions you have?
No, site looks good. Peeking over the fence every now and then. Looks like it's well in hand and in order. So it's no question.
Eric, you get to look over the fence. You don't have to peek over.
No,
Those of us that are vertically challenged have to find a crack in the fence to
that's right.
peek in. But
There's John riding into the sunset.
Mr. Keller, good morning. You're on mute, by the way.
Morning, morning.
John, we're at tab 10, just finishing up the last item on the hot list. And so, Martha, you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No, all set. Thank you.
Okay, Chief Riley, how about yourself?
None at all. Site looks great.
Okay, John, I hope you're actually on that horse. It's I like your backdrop, but I'm a bit jealous.
I just jumped off.
Yeah. John, we're just wrapping up this meeting. We're on the hot list, item 19, which is just kind of, we're going around the board here just for comments or questions.
No comments at this time.
Okay, and I have none either. Steve, do you have any comments you want to interject to the meeting?
No further than you've already covered, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, how about yourself?
I'm all set, Bob. Thank you very much.
And as always, we reserve the last word for Zell.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. The word is, it looks like nice weather again today.
Yeah.
That's the best thing we could have.
Okay. All right. Well, if we turn to the last tab, it's tab 12. Again, this was a communication from Deputy Chief Lucy to the State 911 Department dated May 4th. Again, this is just for the record. I know that there was some question on that document, and I think what we find on a project like this is matters will get issued, but because of this whole COVID issue, 911 may not have, they may have received it, but it hasn't been logged correctly or whatever. So I just wanted to include that in the packet so that if Dave or Steve or Mike Cresta is talking to 911 and they need to put their hand on that communication, it's readily available on tab 12. So that's the end of our meeting agenda. I think the only remaining issue is scheduling our next meeting in June. The third Wednesday of June is June 17th. Steve, Dave, or Zell, are there any issues that may be more pressing that we would need to move that up, or will that work, do you think, at this time? We can always have a special meeting if something came up.
I don't see, well, the only thing that I think is going to become an issue for great discussions probably is the ground improvement. But I don't know if that would affect when you guys would be meeting again. You know, that's going to be, it's going to take a lot of discussion on your part, I would imagine. But that's.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm looking at this, and everyone can chime in. I'm looking at it that BC has made a presentation of options or opportunities the town can consider. McPhail is going to do a review and a summary of what their thoughts are and, you know, what the pluses and minuses are. And then Steve and Dave, you're going to chime in with a communication or recommendation one way or the other. And at It's always interesting when you have soil conditions similar to this site. There's no surefire way to overcome potential settlement in parking areas. I'm not sure there's a mechanical solution to it that is feasible, but I think we'll look at this and then we'll just make a reasoned decision, an informed decision on what to do, if anything. I'm not sure what everyone else's feelings is on that. Martha, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we need to see what the analysis is, and the
Right.
review of what's been presented, and then take it from there.
Chief, how about yourself?
I feel the same as Martha. I mean, we'll see what comes out of the presentation and then go from there.
Right. Eric?
Same. Let's see the report.
Okay. And John Keller?
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see what the report comes back with and what they recommend.
All right, team. I have nothing else on the agenda. It's 7:38. Thank you all for participating and for all of the efforts you've all put into this project. It's exciting to see it come along and actually have some steel above ground level. So without any further matters before the committee, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.